Hi everyone, welcome to Studio Jake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Berry. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to Studio Jake. Don't forget to ring that little bell because YouTube is doing this weird thing where they're curating your subscription, so you may not see my video in chronological order. So ring that little bell so you get notifications. Now, I want to talk about something big that's been happening in the movie business, and it's causing a little bit of a stir. Y'all could probably guess that I am talking about, of course, the Ghostbuster franchise relaunching. But before we get to that, I am going to grab a soda, totally casually, just grab a Coca-Cola. Oh, that's refreshing. Yeah. It's definitely refreshing. Oh, my dog is here. My dog just happens to be in my house right at this moment. This is unbelievable. Todd, come here, boy. Come here, Todd. Come here. Come here. Come here, Todd. Here he comes. Oh. Would you look at that? My dog, Todd, is in my house right now. This is a coincidence. I never would have imagined that this happened. So, anyway, this is Todd. He's a Shipper Key mix. We don't know mixed with what. Probably Pomeranian, judging by his fur color. But, Todd, do you want a soda? No, doggies can't have sodas. Silly dog. All right. So, anyway, just wanted to get that. Isn't it a coincidence? My dog being in my place of living just at this very moment? Unreal. It's almost like I planned it. Anyway, just wanted to get started with this idea of Ghostbusters. Originally for this episode, I was going to do comic book reviews. I'm very behind on my comic book reviews on both Studio Jake and my blog, but I wanted to talk about this Ghostbusters remake because it's causing a little bit of a stir in Hollywood. It's got all the SJWs in a tizzy because they failed. We have there's this saying that's going around in Hollywood right now that go woke, go broke, and that is about what's happening right now. So basically, what happened was in 2016, I believe, they had this remake of the Ghostbusters with an all-female cast. The problem was, unlike the original Ghostbusters, who got, real funny people like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and so on and so forth, the only actual comedian they casted was Melissa McCarthy. So the movie was incredibly unfunny. They chose the other actresses were also from Saturday Night Live, similar to the original Ghostbusters 1 and 2, but they chose ones from right now, which these Ghostbusters, this Saturday Night Live series is only funny when they have a good guest star. Otherwise, it's not that funny. Let's be real. Let's be honest. So anyway, in November 2018, Dan Aykroyd was giving an interview. He helped write the first Ghostbusters film, and of course, it was directed by I'm sorry, his name is escaping. Ivan Reitman, and of course, he's passed away now. But his son Jason Reitman is doing a film, and so they apparently Sony approached Jason and said, "Hey, can you help us salvage this franchise?" Because before, it was something that people had a lot of nostalgia value, had a lot of funny. I'm sorry, Ivan Reitman is still alive. I'm sorry, I don't know why I thought he had passed away. I guess because a lot of celebrities have been croaking lately, so I guess I thought he was one of them. But no, I just was informed that thanks to Google, that he is in fact still alive. But anyway, so Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son. He's a director. and he hasn't really done anything huge. Like, he's mainly done kind of B movies and indie pictures, but and none of them have really been received that well. But they started filming it, and there's a big question though if Bill Murray is going to be a part of it, because one of the reasons that it was kind of kept from being a trilogy was Bill Murray kept, I hate to say this, but he kept poo-pooing all over the idea. Well, maybe, I don't know. You know, that's not a very good Bill Murray impression. But so this big question is, will Bill Murray return? For sure, it seems like Dan Aykroyd is going to return. A bunch of the original actors, I believe, have agreed to come back. So it's going to be it's going to be a reunion basically of all these popular actors. Here's my thing. Okay, so they tried a remake. It was not a reboot. It wasn't a retooling. It was a remake. I know that reboot is the new buzzword in Hollywood, but they're all mixed up. So they're going to do a sequel of this. I remember when they kept calling Jurassic World a reboot. It's not a freaking reboot. It's a continuation. There's all these terms that Hollywood keeps mixing up, and I always feel like I have to correct everyone. It's not a reboot. It's a sequel. It's not a reboot. It's a remake. So anyway, I have a great blog article on explaining the difference between a retooling, a reboot, a remake, and a continuation. So go to my blog, just type in the search bar remake, and it'll come up. So is this a good idea, though? I mean, Jason Reitman, like I said, he's kind of done some B movies and some indie pictures, none of which have been really well received. So I'm not really sure if he's going to be able to give this up. Now, with the original talent, I think it could be possible. And this was the problem with the 2016 film with Melissa McCarthy, is they didn't really have a good cast. So like Leslie Jones, she's not funny. I mean, let's be real. She is probably one of the most unfunny people on television right now. I mean, there are so many other talented former SNL stars that they could have brought onto this project that have gone on to do better projects. But for some reason, they're just not interested in it. I mean, they could have had Tina Fey. They could have had Amy Poehler. Could you imagine if the remake of Ghostbusters had actually funny female comedians in it? So if it had, instead of those wannabes from the current SNL, they had Amy Poehler or Tina Fey involved in the project, I think that would have been a powerhouse, a dynamite, especially if Tina Fey had helped write it. In my humble opinion, I think Tina Fey is hilarious, but in my humble opinion, she's actually a better writer than she actually is a comedian. So it's kind of one of those up in the air things. Now, with the original cast returning, it could be good. And I'm not sure, though, again, if it's a good idea. It's clear Hollywood has run out of ideas because of they've been running. It's not one particular thing. It just seems like ever since the 2010s, they can't think of anything new to do. And I'm always puzzled by this because there's so many great books out there that they could make, but they're stuck doing all these all of these clones and sequels and reboots and whatnot, when Clint Eastwood seems to be the only guy who's making original films. I mean, Christopher Nolan. Now, I know Nolan did the Dark Knight trilogy. Obviously, that Batman was a continuation. But outside of that, I mean, Interstellar, Dunkirk, Inception, all of these films have been original. Same with Clint Eastwood with The Mule and Gran Torino. It seems like he's the only one telling original stories, these two good directors. So I'm wondering, with that in mind, with Jason Reitman directing the original cast of Ghostbusters, sans Bill Murray, I don't know, is this smart? Now, if they're gonna obviously go ahead and go through it. Apparently, they've been making it under the code name Rust City because they wanted to keep the project, at least a lot of the pre-production stuff, under wraps because they knew the SJWs would load all their venom spray in order to attack this. They're going to call it sexist and racist and all this stuff, ableist. I mean, come on, we all know it's coming. Let's be real. So since they're going to do it anyway, and Bill Murray is, like I said, kind of being a party pooper about it, what does that mean? Should Bill Murray be a part of it? I want him to be a part. I'm a huge fan of the original Ghostbusters. I'm not seeing the animated ones, the real Ghostbusters or the extreme Ghostbusters, but I know that they're very popular. I know that both those animated series were successful, and they even did like a tie-in that was really popular. So my answer would be, since they're going to do it anyway, and I say just go for it. Just if Bill Murray wants to be a party pooper, let him be a party pooper. There are plenty of other funny SNL actors from that generation or the one right after who I'm sure would love to be a part of it. You know, maybe they could bring in. I know some of the SNL actors, they have some bad blood between them. I know a lot of them are still friends. Like I know Steve Martin and Martin Short. They're really good friends and they do stuff together. But I would like to see maybe they could bring on Steve Martin or Martin Short to be a part. You know, if Bill Murray doesn't want to do it, I'm not saying replace his character, maybe kill off his character, and then they just bring in like an associate of his to take his place, make someone else the leader, whatever that case may be. That's what I would suggest. So Jason Reitman, if you're watching this, I know you're in the middle of pre-production, started in just this month, I believe. So that's my advice to you is if you can't get Bill Murray on board, forget him. Bring on Steve Martin, bring on Martin Short, or like I said, someone else from that era of Saturday Night Live. Find someone who's not feuding with the others. Bring them on. And in fact, I would bring in more. I'd bring in David Spade. I'd bring in Eddie Murphy. I'd bring in Adam Sandler. I'd bring in all of these guys, Steve Buscemi, and oh my gosh, there's so many incredible people from those two eras. Those were the golden age of Saturday Night Live. I mean, they had some good comebacks in the 90s, and like I said, they do funny skits occasionally, but they're really only funny when they have a good good guest star these days. So like when Steve Carell was on, it was funny, but you know, that's how it is. So that's my advice, you know, and just see where we can go from there as far as the Ghostbusters franchise is concerned. My understanding is it could be good. Not sure if it was a good idea because clearly the remake was a terrible idea. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Now, as for I'm going to move on a little bit. I want to talk about something else. I am a little weary of there's this idea that in Hollywood there's all these directors who are angry about the success of superhero / comic book movies. And I've written some responses to them, to these guys. And here's my thing. These guys and gals, I guess, are elitists. And listen, I remember Steven Spielberg. He did this big. I'm never gonna direct a superhero movie. But then guess what? He's what is it called? The Blackhawks, which is a comic book series based in World War II, is on his slate to direct. And my advice is keep on keeping on. The movies speak for themselves. Even Venom, which was just kind of like a popcorn superhero movie, it didn't really have any depth, but it was a lot of fun to watch. It made over, you know, $500 million, I think, at the box office as Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse. I was hesitant going into that film because I didn't know what to expect, but it was a fantastic film. Keep on keeping on with these superhero films. Don't let these Hollywood elitists give advice. You know, their era is over. Their time has passed. They're making nothing that viewers and audiences are interested in. And I'm so sick and tired of these film experts lecturing me on what kind of film I should like. Make a movie that is entertaining, and I'll go and see it in theaters, or I'll buy it on DVD or rent it or whatever. But you don't get to lecture me on what is and not a good film. Like, okay, I know Godfather is on one spectrum, good film. Sharknado on the other, bad film. But you know what? There is a wide berth of gray area that's none of your business about my tastes. So shut up and put your money where your mouth is. If you think that I would like what was it? There was this film that came out, The Phantom Thread. The trailer was boring. Do you really think I want to watch a movie about a guy who sews? Come on. Oh, but Jacob, it's art. Movies are an entertainment version of art. That's just the way it is. And I'm sorry to offend all you auteur directors, but that's just how the dice rolls, and you're just going to have to suck it up and deal with it. Make a movie that's entertaining, and if you have a message that is good, I'll walk away from the film getting it. That's why all these movies like the Ghostbusters remake or Ocean's 8 or any movies like that, which are strictly just made for messaging, that's why they're failing. No one cares. And you don't get to say, oh, the audience is letting us filmmakers down. That's not how it works, buddy. Our tickets pay for your films. And if you can't make good films, that's your fault. That's not our fault. Taste changes over time. I know there's this theory out there that taste can be taught. No, taste cannot be taught. Sometimes taste changes. Remember in the 20s, people made films that were real gritty and grimy and sexual. And then the 50s came along, and what happened? The taste changed, and people didn't want to see that on film anymore. So they did the Hays Code, which is a voluntary thing. It was voluntary. The filmmakers did it on their own. And there were films that challenged it. Remember the Westerns, and then there's the anti-Westerns, which I don't actually believe in anti-Westerns. I think that's a misnomer. But anyway, that's another article or another video for another time. So all you filmmakers who get to drive in limousines and get the red carpet treatment and all of that good stuff, you know what? If you really want me to give your movies good reviews on my blog, which has close to 5,000 subscribers, thank you to all my readers, then make movies that I'll enjoy, and I'll give them good reviews. You know what? I gave Dragon Ball Super Broly, I love the Dragon Ball series, I gave it kind of a tepid review because the movie was a little overhyped. And you know what? You can go read it, hear my perspective. If you disagree with me, whatever. So it's not just that I'll give blind reviews to stuff that I like just because I like that genre or I like that series. I'll be honest with the people I'm reviewing for. So that's just going to how it is going to be, and you're going to have to deal with it. That's all I've got to say. Sorry for that little rant. I'm just so tired of this elitism with how the Hollywood limousine liberals view their audiences. I think that's very unwise. It's insulting to their fan base, and the fan bases will appeal with our tickets. All right, so that's all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for watching and listening to my rant. You can follow me on Twitter at RealJacobAiry, right there. My Instagram is real.jacob.airy. My Facebook is author Jacob Airy. You can read my political stuff on thedailywire.com. And of course, go find my blog at jacobayry.blog. I've got all kinds of amazing articles. So subscribe there through email or through WordPress. You're not going to regret it. I've got all kinds of great stuff there. And also, again, just a reminder, subscribe here, ring the bell, like this video, tell your friends about me, share it out, all that good stuff. Next week, I will be on Faith Moore's podcast channel talking about superheroes and Disney, the ideal Disney prince. So I'll see you next time right here on StudioJake.